like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please. Michelle? Here.
Caledonia.
Here.
Canisius.
Here.
Geneseo.
Here.
Groveland.
Here.
Lester.
Here.
Lima.
Here.
Livonia.
Here.
Mount North Dansville.
Here.
Nunde.
Here.
Ashen.
Here.
Portage.
Here.
Sparta.
Here.
Springwater.
Here.
West Sparta.
Here. Here. I'd like to ask Geneseo Supervisor Don Muster to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the meeting minutes of our last regular meeting, 25th of June, for your consideration. Is there anyone who wishes to suggest any changes? Hearing none, I look for a motion in a second. Thank you. We have a motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Two communications, Michelle.
Receipt of notice of claim in the matter of Barbara Ryan, deceased, versus Livingston County Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation, et al. Receipt of notice of claim in the matter of Tanisha Lee versus Dylan Bowser.
Thank you. Shannon, introduction of the local law.
Thank you, Chairman. This local law extends the current youth deer hunting pilot program in Livingston County through December 31st, 2028, and every subsequent year the pilot program remains in effect under the Environmental Conservation Law, Section 11-0935.
Thank you. Abstract of claims.
Mr. Chairman, I move this abstract of claims and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Are there any questions or concerns on this abstract of claims? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde. Ashen. Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater. West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 50-54 adopted.
We do have privilege number 4 this afternoon.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to request privilege of the floor for Assemblywoman Andrea Daly, New York State Legislative Women's Caucus Recognition honoree Holly Watson, and Senator Pamela Helming, 2025 New York State Woman of Distinction of the Year honoree Karen Dewar.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp.
Thank you all very much. This is like old home week for me, and I appreciate it. It's my honor today to present and just to talk about Holly Watson for a couple minutes. Back in March, as a member of the New York State Legislative Caucus, we were asked to identify an individual, a woman of distinction, to help commemorate Women's History Month in March. And I thought of Holly. We were asked for one word to identify that individual. There again, I thought of visionary. The theme of the year was moving forward together, women educating and inspiring generations. And when I stopped and thought about it, I thought about school teachers, I thought about different things, but then I thought about my time that I was here in Livingston County and the relationship that I had built with Holly and kind of what that looked like. And to me, she just embodied an individual who brings education and history and continues to keep that history of Livingston County alive. And I continue to see that with the little presentations that she's doing. She did one this morning. So it is my honor today to formally recognize her. When Holly came to Albany, it was wonderful. I had a little bit of time to spend with her. Unfortunately, that was also the day that the bill that I was going to debate was scheduled. So thank you to Senator Helming. She sat with Holly during the formal luncheon, but I did not get the opportunity to formally recognize Holly, and I thought, what a better place than right here in front of all of you, because she is just a true asset to our county. So I have a proclamation that I would like to present to you. Holly, and if you just bear with me for a minute, I would like to just read a little bit of it. It is the sense of this legislative body to recognize and honor individuals who have devoted their lives to educating and inspiring future generations. And Holly Watson has exemplified these ideals through her lifelong passion for history, education, and public service. Holly has served as the Livingston County with distinction for more than 14 years in the county historian's office, including 3 years as county historian, 11 as deputy county historian. Her dedication to preserving the county's history, narrative, and her ability to bring local history to life for new generations are truly inspiring. Holly is also a leader beyond her own county, currently serving as the president of the governmental appointed historians of Western New York, having been elected for her first term in the fall of 2024. She is a respected voice among her peers and a true advocate for the role of public historians in civic life. The theme of the 2025 Women of Distinction program is moving forward together, women educating and inspiring generations. Holly Watson embodies this ideal through her visionary work, her collaborative spirit, her passion for educating others, the importance of our shared heritage. And when asked to choose a word that best represented my honoree, I chose the word visionary, a reflection of Holly's ability to look beyond the present, preserve the past, and inspire the future. So now therefore it be proclaimed that Assemblywoman Andrea Bailey, in conjunction with the citizens of the 133rd Assembly District, recognizes and commends Holly Watson for her remarkable contributions to the people of Livingston County and to the broader field of public history in New York State.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chairman, and to all the Board of Supervisors for allowing us to have this opportunity to recognizing these outstanding public servants. My honoree today is Karen Dewar. But before I speak about Karen's amazing accomplishments, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge a couple of things. One is to Mr. Gall, to everyone in emergency management, to all of our first responders, to the supervisors, to everyone who has been impacted by the recent weather events. I want to say thank you. In every community that I've been and visited, you are doing an amazing job. And just seeing that quick response, helping out neighbors, helping out your community, it has truly been inspiring. And I want to thank you again for the incredible work that you're doing. I also, since the Assemblywoman and I have gotten back from Albany, I've been catching up on some of the local newspapers. And I just wanted to say thank you as well to Sheriff Doherty and the Sheriff's Office for earning not one, but my understanding is 2 new accreditations for civil and jail divisions. I think this outstanding work, this recognition is confirmation of the professionalism and the hard work of the sheriff and his entire team. So again, my hats off to the Office of the Sheriff. Thank you very much. And I also read about Livingston County's finance team, who are recently honored, I believe, for the 4th time by the Government Finance Officers Association with a 2025 Distinguished Budget Award. I've had the opportunity to work on budgets at the town level, at the county level, and now at the state level. And trust me, I understand how challenging it is to put forward a budget that's both visionary and responsible. So I commend all of you, everyone who has been involved with the budget process, on your success. Thank you very much for that. One of the most rewarding parts of serving as a New York State Senator is the opportunity to highlight the people who have contributed so much to our communities, people like Karen and like Holly. And I want to thank Assemblywoman Bailey for selecting Holly for this special recognition by the Legislative Women's Caucus. As she said, I had the opportunity to sit with Holly during the honoree ceremony, and her work, it's inspiring, it's impressive, and thank you, Holly, and congratulations to you. So about Karen. This year, I had the privilege to honor Karen as the 2025 New York State Senate Woman of Distinction for her incredible and dedicated work to support our region in the entire state of New York. So each senator from each district is able to nominate just one person. And then we hold a ceremony where we bring all the women together and recognize them. It's a pretty incredible, pretty powerful ceremony. Under Karen's leadership, Livingston County EMS has become a model for effective emergency medical systems in New York's rural communities. Her achievement includes creating a community paramedicine program. This program, as many of you know, serves older residents in rural communities by connecting them to the resources that promote health and allow them to live as independently as possible in their own homes for as long as possible. Karen has also served on the New York State Rural Ambulance Services Task Force, and that task force was charged with researching, identifying, and recommending solutions to the statewide challenges of EMS in our rural communities. And I truly appreciate that service and those recommendations that the task force provided, because Livingston County does an amazing job, but there are so many areas, opportunities for improvement in other areas in our state, so I appreciate that work. For her work over many years, Karen has been recognized with numerous awards, including the Monroe Livingston Regional EMS Council, Harriet C. Weber EMS Leadership Award, and the Registered Professional Nurse of Excellence Award by the Monroe Livingston Regional EMS Council and the New York Department of Health Bureau of EMS. Karen started her healthcare career as an EMT and proudly volunteered with the Geneseo Fire Department and Ambulance for more than 48 years. That's incredible. And on top of that, for 37 years, she has also been a registered professional nurse. One of the things I had the opportunity to talk to Karen about is who inspired her work, what drove her to pursue this field. And Karen shared with me that she was inspired by Clara Barton. Of course, you all know the founder of American Red Cross was one of her inspirations. And as many of you also know, Clara was known as the angel of the battlefield for her work, for risking her life during the Civil War, delivering services and support to the soldiers on the battlefield. Karen also shared with me that she was inspired by her own mother, who was one of the first female EMTs in the Geneseo Fire Department. And now with her children following in her footsteps by volunteering in EMS and firefighting and working in healthcare, Karen's legacy of care and courage inspires and continues to benefit this entire region. Karen, you have been there for so many people in their most difficult times, during those dark, dark times when they needed support and help. You sacrificed so much time with your family, and I just want to say thank you again. It's just an honor to be able to recognize you as a New York State Woman of Distinction, and I can't thank you enough for your service. Thank you. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have the preferred agenda, resolutions.
Proclaiming August 1st through the 7th, 2025 as World Breastfeeding Week. Proclaiming July 20th through the 26th, 2025 as National Pretrial, Probation, and Parole Supervision Week in Livingston County. And providing for a public hearing on proposed local law number C 2025, amending and restating local law number 7, 2023 to extend the youth deer hunting pilot program.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on any of these resolutions? Hearing none, I look for a motion in a second to bring it to a roll call vote.
Lester, motion?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? And that's carried. I will roll on these resolutions, please, Michelle.
Evan.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland.
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 50, 54, adopted.
We're going to consider some other resolutions that are going to require a separate roll call.
Mrs. Walker, authorizing the chairman of Livingston County Board of Supervisors to sign the following contracts for the Livingston County Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation. Excelis Health Plan, Inc. and SHC Services, Inc., doing business as supplemental health care.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Is there any questions on either of these two contracts? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 50, adopted. Authorizing the chairman of the Livingston County Board of Supervisors to sign the following license agreement for the Livingston County Department of Health. Catholic Charities, Steuben, Livingston.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Are there any questions or concerns on this license agreement? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland.
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 50, adopted. Authorizing the chairman of the Livingston County Board of Supervisors to sign the following grant award contracts for the Livingston County Department of Health. New York State Department of Health. There are two.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Is there any concerns or comments on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland.
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York. Ayes 50, adopted. Authorizing the chairman of the Livingston County Board of Supervisors to sign the following contracts for the Livingston County Department of Social Services, Geneseo Community College and Peterson Psychological Services, PLLC.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 50, adopted. Authorizing the chairman of the Livingston County Board of Supervisors to sign bylaws for Geneseo, Livingston, Orleans, Wyoming Works, Inc.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland.
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia.
Aye.
Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York. Ayes 50, adopted. Authorizing the chairman of the Livingston County Board of Supervisors to sign the following grant award contract for the Livingston County Office of Workforce Development and Youth Bureau, New York State Department of State.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Is there any question on this grant award contract? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland.
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia.
Aye.
Mount Morris. North Dansville. Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 54 adopted. Mr. Deming, authorizing the chairman of the Livingston County Board of Supervisors to sign the following contract for the Livingston County Emergency Medical Services Department, Stryker Sales Corporation.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Deming. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia. Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York. Ayes 54 adopted. Awarding bid for the Emergency Medical Services Department for an ambulance purchase, Northeastern Rescue Vehicles.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Deming. Is there any discussion on this awarding of this bid? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia. Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland.
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen. Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 54 adopted. Authorizing the chairman of the Livingston County Board of Supervisors to sign the following grant award contract for the Livingston County Office of Emergency Management, New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Deming. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia. Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 54 adopted. Authorizing a professional services contract for the Livingston County Agricultural and Farmland Protection Plan update, Agricultural and Community Development Services LLC.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Deming. Are there any concerns on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia. Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 54 adopted. Authorizing the chairman of the Livingston County Board of Supervisors to sign the following contract for the Livingston County Planning Department, lifespan of Greater Register.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Deming. Are there any concerns on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia. Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 54 adopted. Authorizing the chairman of the Livingston County Board of Supervisors to sign the following contract for the Livingston County Sheriff's Office, Genesee Valley BOCES.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Deming. Are there any questions or concerns on this contract? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia. Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia.
Aye.
Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen. Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater.
Aye.
West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 54 adopted. Mr. Knapp, establishing standard workday and retirement reporting credit.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland.
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater. West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 50-54 adopted. Amending the 2025 Livingston County budget. Office for the Aging, there are 2, and Sheriff's Office, there are 3.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Are there any concerns on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland.
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris.
Aye.
North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater. West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 50-54 adopted. Authorizing transfer of funds, Office for the Aging, there are 3.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Are there any concerns on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater. West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 50-54 adopted. Authorizing an annual transfer for the E911 Emergency Communications Towers Capital Project.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Are there any concerns on this transfer? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater. West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 50-54 adopted. Amending the 2025 Livingston County Salary Schedule, Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Are there any concerns on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia. Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland.
Aye.
Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta. Springwater. West Sparta.
Aye.
York. Ayes 50-54 adopted. Amending the 2025 Livingston County Salary Schedule, County Administration, County Clerk, Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation, Department of Health, Department of Social Services, Emergency Medical Services, Highway Department, Information Technology Services, Office for the Aging, Planning, Public Defender, Sheriff's Office, County Treasurer, and Office of Workforce Development Youth Bureau.
Mr. Chairman, I move this resolution and ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Knapp. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, roll please, Michelle.
Avon.
Aye.
Caledonia.
Aye.
Canisius.
Aye.
Geneseo.
Aye.
Groveland. Lester.
Aye.
Lima.
Aye.
Livonia. Mount Morris. North Dansville.
Aye.
Nunde.
Aye.
Ashen.
Aye.
Portage.
Aye.
Sparta.
Aye.
Springwater. West Sparta.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Ayes 50-54 adopted.
Did we have one appointment? Michelle?
Appointment to the GLOW Workforce Development Board, Brittany Minster, representing business, and her term runs through March 18, 2027.
Thank you. David, do you have any updates to the board?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I had the honor yesterday of joining Ms. Walker in Nunde for conversations with the county. Had a chance to update some attendees on our county initiatives, including the broadband project and some ongoing economic development projects. I want to thank Supervisor Walker and the Nunde Town Council for hosting me there. Next, as I reported to committees this week and last, we've started the process to develop our draft 2026 through 2030 capital improvement plan, as well as the 2026 annual budget. Just as a reminder, we've kind of realigned our timing of the development of the CIT so that this year it'll be done prior to consideration of the approval of the annual budget for 2026 to help us better plan for interfund transfers into the capital fund for the coming year. The CIP is going to be presented to the Ways and Means Committee on August 11th, and then to the Board of Supervisors for your consideration on August 13th. Staff met on July 1st to talk about our mobility management program. As you probably are aware, or may be aware, ArcGlow has notified us of their decision to not renew this agreement for this service. We're going to be issuing a new RFP to try to find a qualified firm to take over the program, and we do believe there is some local interest in doing so. And then lastly, just a quick update on our broadband project. The Broadband Advisory Committee met just this morning to get a status update from Planning Director Crow and our outside counsel with Phillips Lytle. Great news there to report. We've been able to successfully execute all of the agreements that will enable the construction of the MIP fibers. So in addition to the Reconnect project, taken in total as we refer to as Light Up Livingston, that project is underway, and we're starting to get into the planning phases for the MIP phase of the project, and we're already under construction with the Reconnect strands. So things are moving. You'll see a lot of activity out there in the county, and we hope to be on track to meet our deliverables as required by the grant. That concludes my report, unless there's any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any supervisors having any other to bring before the board this afternoon?
Move to adjourn from Geneseo.
Just like it, Lester.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. Meeting stands adjourned.